Apparently we're good to go. Okay, we're live.
We're live. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hello, everyone. Uh,
Hi.
Welcome to a reaction live stream
Merry
to
Christmas!
a Christmas that just dropped. Yeah, so on empireonline.com, we got some new photos from the Rings of Power TV show and some new info, more like a content teaser, basically. So today we have Lakitia.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm quite excited.
Hen. Hello, sir.
Hi, I'm amused, let's say, more than excited.
Okay, and we have our friendly neighborhood penguin. Hello, sir.
Hey,
Hi.
what's going on here? No, I just happened to join because I saw everyone else was online.
Oh, you don't even know what's
Okay,
going on, right?
that's
Story of my
that's
life.
how it's
Carry
supposed to
on, carry on.
be. Yeah. Well, shall we start with the photos right away?
Let's do that. Wow.
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
Tone down the
So
enthusiasm.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have the cover photo with Galadriel. Um, well, who wants to start?
Okay.
Lakitia, do you want to
Uh,
open up?
yeah, sure. Would it be possible, our friendly neighborhood wizard, Kyle, to just zoom it in a little bit?
Yeah, do the picture
Um,
big.
it's that time of, the live stream where we boss Kyle around, which is very, very nice.
Good, good, good. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, there it is.
Okay, so my first impression, it looks dark. Like the whole thing together is pretty dark. It's a dark picture. Her hair doesn't look golden at all. It looks like ash blonde or light brown or something, which of course is just a trick of the light, most likely. But the
Yeah,
whole her posture is very, very like aggressive. She's not the sophisticated lady of Lothlorien that we came to know and love in the end of the Third Age. Um, yeah, for me, I'm a little bit surprised because I thought that maybe her bearing would still be more of a stereotypically elven bearing that we were used to seeing in the film. But I'm really excited to see her, take up the sword and kick some ass. But I can't say
yeah,
that I'm overwhelmed by how much I love this picture. But she looks good. Like her personally, Morpeth Clark, top notch. What do you guys think?
yeah, yeah. She looks. We've known for a while that she would be more cranky, I suppose. More impetus, more.
Cranky.
You know what
Uh,
I mean, though. It's been described by the showrunners. It's been
mm,
apparent in previous pictures of her, kind of the
yeah.
description of what she does in the action as well. And
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, this picture looks like that place that we see in the teaser where they meet the troll. It looks,
Oh,
kind of like obsidian type. I can't say if it's a cave or not, but you know.
she's wearing very little clothes for a winter setting, in my opinion.
That's that too. She seems to be wearing
She's an
just
elf.
a yeah, she seems to be wearing just about what she was wearing when they were scaling the wall, which
Yeah.
is the gauntlets. Quite a lot
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
mail, and she had a coat over, I think, outside. This is obviously inside, but it looks the same, really.
Mm-hmm.
Although I can't remember that huge, 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 huge sword, and it's really enormous that she has on her
Yeah,
back.
that's a very big sword. Like
Yeah, it's enormous.
It makes
Oh,
surprisingly,
me
like
it makes me think of those Final Fantasy games where the guy has a sword that clearly weighs 3 times as much as he does and is about as long in his body as and then some.
I'm
yeah,
glad you
like it's
brought it up
quite
because
quite
yeah,
tall.
yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because I think it's going to be a recurring motif of our discussion here, which is it looks a little bit the sword more than anything else in this particular picture. It looks a bit high fantasy to me, really. Like there are historical swords like this, by the way, but it's the sort of case where even though it is real, most audiences won't accept it as being real. They'll accept it as being fantasy, and it looks very high fantasy to me. The sword more so than more so than the armor, certainly the appearance of Galadriel herself, the environment, all of that looks good. The sword is kind of throwing me out a little bit.
I would like to point out, or to ask you, what do you think about? Like, I thought this was supposed to be a chain shirt earlier, but now I'm not really convinced that it is. More just like some sort of some protection. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a chain shirt. Then again, it's elves, so maybe it's something close to mithril. That's why it's so thin.
It's
What
so
do you
weird
think? Like,
because
is
it's like
this actual part of armor or
I don't know. It
just
looks
something else?
kind of ornamental to me, and it's like flowing, very very
Yeah.
flowing, which I don't think that's too practical in combat or even for climbing. You know, when they were scaling the icy
Yeah.
wall.
But it
But
does
then
look
again,
like
that's the
that.
rule of
Yeah.
cool. So you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
for
does
that
look
matter,
like
neither
that
is
in
long
other
hair.
pictures of her.
Yeah, that's true. The long hair as well.
Yeah. It's not
Okay,
braided
I mean, maybe
here.
the long hair here is just for posing. Hopefully.
Yeah, but it does show, we have that picture of her with a braid, which makes sense if she's going
Yeah.
into combat. And we have the
That would
picture
make
of
sense.
her
Yes, of course.
with a kind of shawl on, which also makes sense. Here it's one of the few pictures, the other one being the Linden picture that we see her with the flowing, very kind of Galadriel look hair, minus the fact that it's a lot less blonde, as you said. Which is also true of other pictures as well. The big picture, the opening picture of Vanity Fair, it also looks very kind of pale blonde, more so than, kind of gold.
Yeah.
It varies. Yeah, it depends on lighting, I think.
But
I think your
that's
point is well taken.
I think this sorts of idealized hair colors are really difficult to portray in a way that would please everybody. I know I
Yeah.
mentioned this during one of the previous live streams, but it's a similar thing with Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones. Like her hair is supposed to be silver, and of course they didn't make her look silver because that would just make her look super old. And I think with Galadriel, the hair color is also a little bit unrealistic to, portray as exactly as Tolkien described it.
Oh yeah, as Tolkien described it, it makes no sense pictorially as a picture. Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of like the blonde, it is a bit paler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I would just say that regarding her not having too many winter clothes, if I remember correctly, in the Fellowship of the Ring movie, Legolas is just walking around in his usual clothes.
Yeah,
they are kind
in the
of
book, I think he wears sandals.
as supernatural. Yeah, maybe something. Not sandals,
sandals,
but
light shoes.
something very very light. Yeah, light shoes.
Yeah.
But also, Galadriel passed Helcaraxe, so this is for her. Just another day in the office. Nothing too crazy. But the background does seem it's quite likely to be the cave where we see the ice troll. So yeah, I agree on that.
Speaking of which, we'll get to that. The audience.
I just want to say that I'm really not from what we've seen so far. I'm really not crazy about costumes, and for me, that's quite a big thing. I didn't think this is gonna be blasphemous, but I didn't think the film trilogy costumes always, hit the nail on the head either. But more often than not, they were really, really good. But for this, so far, I'm getting a very, very high fantasy vibe, very, very imaginative, sure, but also it seems very artificial to me.
Yes.
And I don't really like that. It doesn't seem practical to me. And I'm not speaking strictly about her armor here, but just like this armor kind of made it that much more obvious to me. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we are all in agreement regarding that. Okay, shall we move to the next one?
Yeah, let's.
We'll
Mr.
just wait
Kyle?
for Kyle to
Be useful.
do his thing.
Oh, I love this one.
I like, that one is good for me. I like this one. Dwarven stuff thus far.
We did all hope to see the to see Khazad-dûm in all of its glory.
Mhm.
So I think that
First
the
thing-
photo is quite fitting with that.
I have my first initial reaction is that he really reminds me of somebody, and I couldn't figure out who. And of course, it's Tormund Giantsbane. I'm sorry for so many Game
Ah.
of Thrones references, but we knew that before from the red hair and the probably rowdy-ish behavior that some dwarves have had so far in the adaptations. But here, his expression, he looks exactly like Tormund to me.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I see
Yeah,
it.
I can see that.
I wasn't thinking of that until you said it, but sure. Not a bad thing, though, I must say. Not a bad
No,
thing.
Tormund is glorious. So, um,
Yeah.
okay. So Disa looks a little bit different here, I think. Oh no, she has the same costume as in one of the Vanity Fair pictures, right?
Yeah, I think
The
so.
same
Yeah.
Yeah,
hairdo?
that's the one.
Mm.
Yeah. Very simple. She has a very simple costume, which is not a bad thing. Simple is not bad. She, it's just a tunic, white tunic, a little bit of, like a gold necklace thing.
Both of them aren't too fancy with their costumes. Like they're more on point
Barking.
without
We
too
have
many things.
we have Mr. Barking with us. As soon as we start talking
we saw
dwarves,
him,
Barking
nice.
appears.
That's why I said that we wanted to see Khazad-dûm in all its
Oh.
glory, and I was thinking of him at that
We've
point.
got it. We were talking about dwarves, and of course the dwarf lover shows up.
Hey,
Okay, well, let's hear it.
Well, what did that was obviously everybody's favorite cover, correct?
yes,
Obviously.
mine, yes.
I mean, I
absolutely.
didn't care for
Yeah.
Galadriel. I don't like the hobbits at all. So yeah, this wins by
Oh, yeah.
default. So I'm with
I
you,
We'll
think
get
this
to
Barking.
one,
that, yeah.
it's my favorite
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
background
very
is
happy that everybody is in agreement that so far it seems like it is easy to have misses on Elven content and the Harfoot content. Not everybody's sold on.
yes.
But the majority of what we have seen from the dwarves, their looks, the cover, the hands posters, the teaser
Yes.
trailer, everything there has been much better and kind of like a mithril cut above the rest.
That is
Yes,
true.
I
think,
agree.
I think that might be because Amazon felt really sorry about the dwarves because they're like super lame, so they wanted to give them this one thing and make them at least look pretty.
Oh,
Well, we all know they're going to get genocided by a Balrog at some point, whether in this show or the Third Age. So you might as well give them a moment, right? Oh, and they said
Balrogs
nothing.
aren't real, you piece of crap, and I'm logging out.
It's just Elvish propaganda. It's all dwarves' fault.
You see what you
We
did.
they can never dig too deep, right?
Yeah, but
It's dwarves. They know how to do.
His point is well taken. That I do think thus far the dwarven material has consistently been the best.
Yeah.
Or the least.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I agree. And I just
Though
I
think the
absolutely-
color of. Yeah, okay, you can finish her and then I'll comment.
No, I just wanted to say that I really, really like the background. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
Very intricate, and I also think it looks, I don't know, it's very similar to the Hobbit trilogy, but I think it is in a way it's still very strictly geometrical and everything, but in a way because it's so
very.
ornamented, it looks a little bit softer to me. I like it more. I don't know.
Softer.
I love
the gold is gold light, right?
I love the
Looks like
opulence of the background because it's Khazad-dûm in its prime. It should look opulent. The one complaint I have is why is it gold and not mithril? But
Yeah.
come on,
I think that's the light.
Disa doesn't have a beard already, so I mean, what's up?
That's a good point. I didn't think of that. She doesn't appear to have a beard in this picture either.
Yeah. Well, I'm just basically throwing out there.
don't
Well,
know.
if you're going to throw out some piece of the lore, and how many people actually stop to think, okay, why is everything silver? They're rich. It should be gold. So I think some of this may be playing to audience expectations, but
Yeah,
I
that is
really-
true. But also,
Yeah.
I just want to say that probably, they're not going to be using mithril for decoration anyway, so I hope that...
Yeah, it would make sense for gold to be the main decorative.
Yeah, so I think if
I mean,
when
why
you
not?
see them
Because
going into
it's
battle...
way less precious than mithril. Mithril would be saved for the key stuff, the armor, the weapons. So
Yeah.
it would make sense that gold is just all around.
I really think though the gold seems to me to be more lighting than I don't think it's actually all gold behind. I think it's more the light that's giving it a gilded look.
It is,
Yeah, and I
but
wanted to
I
say,
think
so the coloring is pretty strong, but we also commented about this when the first posters were published. It's probably because it's a photo. It's not going to look like this exactly in the
Yeah,
show.
it's still
So
they're all
if,
still
if,
photos.
if somebody feels maybe the colors are too strong, I absolutely feel like that as well. But it's probably
Yeah.
just because of this being a promotional photo. It has to look a bit different. So
yes, but
one
if
probably
the
hopefully
background
shouldn't worry too much about that. Yeah.
if the background were silver or iron or whatever, it wouldn't look that yellow as it does here, or orange or whatever. So I think it's pretty safe to say that the background is supposed to be golden as well.
The dwarf has rejoined.
Indeed.
He had to go stew for a little while.
While
Making me
everyone has their
hungry.
jokes, it might be hard to hear me because I'm walking
We
through
hear you, right?
downtown Miami. But I just wanted to let you guys know I wasn't offended by Penguin's comment, and I love you guys. I appreciate the humor. The dwarves are number one. Killed it again, and I joined so I could listen in while I walk.
Yeah.
Glad to keep you company. Can I just say one other thing that stands out to me in this poster is they look really happy and they're holding hands, and it's just such a positive picture, which I don't know. It really makes me glad to see, because we know that like Thorin was a very, very somber, very melodramatic, very dramatic figure, and these two from the offset at least they look much more joyful, and I really love that.
We
it's
haven't
nice to see
seen
dwarves,
many
yeah.
two happy couples. Like
Yeah.
okay, we see the two weddings at the end of the trilogy, of the first trilogy, but it will be nice to see perhaps a happy couple in the world of Middle Earth and just see what happens to them.
Yeah, and especially the
Yeah,
dwarves,
killed
we
by a
always
Balrog,
see them
probably.
on hard times, so it's nice. Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is when we need to quote what Tolkien said about stories set in happy times. Just not as fun and interesting as those hard, depressing stories.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
but it's
true.
gonna be all the more interesting when one of them, meets
Gets killed by a Balrog.
gruesome end. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, sure. I think it's important to establish kind of like happiness, good times first, so that when it's gone, it's more. A lot of stories don't, but I think that's also kind of having kind of a sine wave kind of feel to the thing.
I mean, again, to compare it with the movies, Fellowship of the Ring does exactly that, and even the extended cut, it's like you're in the Shire for the first hour of the movie, because they're just showing you all this wonderful life and all the green positivity, smiles, nice times, and then it starts going dark. So it makes sense to see this build up in the first season.
Well, the thing about that scene, the whole concerning hobbits sequence, was it worked because they kind of had established the scale of the threat in the prologue. You can't. If you imagine if Fellowship of the Ring just opened with happy-go-lucky hobbit frivolity, people would be wondering, what the hell am I watching? But she kind of gave them a taste of the danger, the excitement, the scale, and the stakes, the threat, by opening up with Sauron, killing everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
We all have a lot of
The
that
thing
here
is
too, I think.
TV shows and movies will have to approach these things in a slightly different manners. So I do expect that they will start showing also the threats quite early, at least like hinting at them in the first two episodes probably. So they will hopefully balance that out. But yeah, that's a good point. It would work as well if it weren't for the prologue in the movies.
I just want to point out that we have a little poll going in the chat where we asked to rate the poster from 1 to 10. So I'm browsing a little bit, and we have a 5, an 8, an 8, a 2, a 7, an 8, a 9, 7, 7, 8. So I would say that largely people are quite positive about it. Nobody seems to be overwhelmed by it, though.
Yeah.
Well, you can't get overwhelmed by it when they're batched together in threes like that. If it would have been just the Doran and Disa, probably overwhelming happy response from everybody, but there's a lot of mixed emotions with the Harfoots and
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll get to
Galadriel.
that.
I'll go there, not because it's an elf, but Galadriel's shot is a little bit bland.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't disagree.
I like the Galadriel one fine, but it's sure.
Yeah.
It's a good contrast
Oh.
to what's happening on the Dwarven photo. So
It is. That one is very mono. This one is very
We've also had another poll before. We're so hands-on with our YouTube chat today. We ran a poll. Which poster did our viewers like best? And what do you guys think won?
Oh,
The
let
dwarves.
me guess. Oh, that's a difficult one.
That's going to be Galadriel. That's my guess.
Okay. So we had the Harfoots in the third place with 10%.
Why am I not surprised?
And then
Okay.
second place, I'm really, really sorry, Varking, but it's dwarves with 19%.
Well,
That's Elvish
there you
propaganda.
What are
And
the
the
numbers?
elves won with 69%.
the
How many people voted?
like 3, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
56 of our viewers. I'm really proud of you viewers, though I like the dwarven one the best, but I love to see the support for Galadriel. So. But I am a little bit surprised. I would have guessed that the dwarven one would.
At least it will be closer. I would expect it to be closer at least.
Yeah.
This is a pretty big win for Galadriel. I think it's the
Yeah.
sword,
I think
Oh
that's
my gosh!
recency
Thank
bias
you,
because
Seeger boy. I
when
see you and I appreciate you. Sorry, Varking, do go
no,
on.
when they put out these posters or these covers originally, Galadriel was the first one people saw, so it had the biggest chance to make an immediate
Mhm.
impact in people's minds.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, he's not wrong. Okay, so do we have something more to say about this photo, or shall we proceed?
I think we'll have a lot more to say about the next one. So.
Okay, so Kyle, can you? Thank you.
Oh boy. Yeah. I can quote my initial response to this, which I repeated several times, which was, "Kill it with fire."
Wow, no violence on the stream, Hen, please.
The picture, not the people.
Okay, we hope they get killed on the show. Is that better? With fire.
That would also work. Somehow I don't
that-
think that would happen though. Because I think they're there to kind of be what they are in this, which is kind of like derpily cute kind of thing, which terrible.
Can I just say that Sir Lenny Henry, while his hair is very, very lush, but the fact that it's like it's really gray, and his the face that he's making, the expression really reminds me of Samuel L. Jackson's character in Django Unchained.
Oh, thank you. Now I can't unsee it.
I was gonna
And
say Samuel L. in the Ptolemy Gray Apple TV Plus series.
Didn't
I
see,
haven't
but
seen
okay.
that. I'll take your word for it.
What we're getting at is that Samuel L. Jackson apparently just plays one character over and over again.
Yeah, he plays Samuel L. Jackson.
He reminds me of the Django Unchained.
And it took me a long time to think about what this terrible wig, reminds me of, and I was like, oh, it's a Bach. It's
Well done, well played,
Well,
well
on a
played,
more
Hen.
it's a Bach.
analogous case,
Yeah, it's terrible.
He-
Oh boy.
he looks like I don't think we hadn't seen anything of him previously other than the hands poster, correct?
Yeah.
So now
We
it
can.
definitely
Yeah.
looks like he's an older Harfoot. Maybe he's one of like the leaders of their little
Sure.
tribe.
Sure, of course he is. I mean, that would make total sense that he would be, but he looks like a Hobbit Bach, and it's weird for me.
Something I don't like in the image is that so you have the two younger Harfoot characters kind of like looking towards each other, almost like you could tell that they're friends and they're close, and he's got his back is like turned to them. He's facing away in another direction, like maybe he
He's the
doesn't agree with
responsible
everything that they
adult,
do.
you see. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just I thought you were gonna go because you got the two white ones right next to each other. They're back towards the black guy, and just saying that they're racist. But
No,
not the direction I
I
was
don't think
expecting you
that's
to go
what they're
there.
going for. and also the kind of I don't know if it's set dressing so much. If it is, it doesn't inspire confidence. But everything around them, there's kind of these big mushrooms, which makes sense for scale. But it looks like, ugh, it looks like
It just looks very
Humperdinck.
busy. It's so busy.
It
It's
is.
very, very clear that this is a stage photo shoot. I mean, obviously it is. They're all posing. But I don't think this can tell us much about what it looked like in the end, in
Yeah.
the finished result. I just want to say that I'm not a big fan of either of their wigs.
Oh, yes.
I wish they looked a little bit, I don't know.
And we have the names too, don't we? What are they?
Oh, that's
They're-
right.
I mean, we have Eleanor
Who wants to do it?
Yeah, who wants to? I don't have it in front of me though.
Yeah, me neither. Kyle, would you be able to show us that on the screen, perhaps?
The names of the
I have
Harfoots.
it. So it's it's Megan Richards, Poppy Proudfellow, and Michaela
Oh.
Kavanagh's Eleanor Nori Brandyfoot, with Lenny Henry's Sadok Burrows. So
All terrible
interesting names.
It's like the Hobbit, the name generator.
It's Insta Hobbit name, yeah. It's, like you put it in the microwave for 10 seconds, out comes Hobbit name.
Lenny Henry's name, it's cool to me, but the other two.
I don't like the very contemporary, not contemporary obviously, but very kind of like English, very obviously English names for hobbits in the Second Age. And not just because even in the early Third Age, which would be when Gollum was young, their names were stuff like Smeagol and Deagol, but just because it has a very, again, English, domesticated, Edwardian feeling in an age that's supposed to feel very kind of archaic and Florentine and a bit
For me,
wilder.
the
Would you
biggest
expect? Would you
transaction is
expect?
Eleanor because of the flower.
That's also
what Sam
true.
when
Yeah,
Sam
that's
gets
wrong. Yeah.
back home.
Yeah.
That's the biggest line for me, because why would you call her Eleanor of all the possible names when it's a very special name that Sam gives to his daughter based on something that he sees in Lothlorien, like
That's fan service.
3,000 years later. So
Kind of, yeah.
I don't
Well,
like
I
it.
think
It's
it's
the
opposite
problem. If it's fan service, it's done in such a way that would make a fan
opposite.
think, do you actually understand what you're doing? Because you're just you're ignoring all the context around why that was such a unique and special name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's like
But most
it's
of the-
like
yeah.
in that time of ancient Egypt, calling someone, let's say
Dude.
1500 BC, calling someone Caesar.
Dude.
It's just it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
That's a
just
good comparison.
it's just cute and kind of cloying, like ugh.
I don't like the fact that she's like Eleanor Nori is named the same as the dwarf. I just think that is very, very awkward.
That too is weird.
I can't get that out of my head. Like why?
Okay, but
Why?
You don't believe like it's like celebrities, Nori's super dope, but you want to name your kid after him. I get it.
You want to name your dwarf after her? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but like,
That's a whole
how
story.
do they
I
know
think
Nora is a celebrity? Like, is there time travel here as well?
Right?
Like,
Okay. This
does
I
it
have
The
I have
man
a
confirm
falling
hunch
from the
that
sky.
someone
Terminator
named
and
Nori is
Meteor Man?
is gonna be really cool in 3,000 years. So I'm gonna name my kid Nori.
Yeah.
bingo.
I think this confirms that Meteor Man is the Terminator because that just implies time travel, so it fits perfectly.
Bum
It
bum
checks
bum
out.
bum bum.
Yeah, we didn't check what Arnold Schwarzenegger's schedule is, right?
Hey, digital de-aging, they can make him look like he's
That
in
wasn't
his
his
prime
body.
again.
The one name I find particularly, I don't know, not unsettling, but Sadok Burrows. Like Burrows, Burrow really reminds me of a hobbit hole or something, and they
Well,
haven't
Yes,
had
yes.
those
you
at that
gonna
time yet. I mean, I
are
know
there
they have names. Sorry, they have names after natural things, etc. But still, to me, it's all three names are a little bit,
Terrible.
I don't know, unsuccessful in my opinion.
I mean, you've got Burrows. What about is there another one out there whose last name is Diggers or Holeman? Or I mean, how many euphemisms can we go over? There's just it just feels fake. It just feels forced, like they're trying too hard.
Cloying.
Yeah, exactly.
And cloying.
You know what it is? It's
I would
secondary thoughts for character names that are just going to be secondary background characters ultimately, and the grand
don't-
scale of the 5
But
seasons.
if they're
I really don't
secondary
think so.
characters, why would you put them in prime place next to Galadriel, who we know is going to be a big one? Probably
Yeah.
Durin's going to stick around.
Look,
So I mean, it doesn't
We
make
have
any.
22 main characters.
You
Out
don't
of them,
advertise Alfred's cousin right next to Batman.
Bros,
Yes.
listen to your boy of reason over here, okay? You're asking this question as if Amazon has been absolutely knocking it out of the park in terms of marketing everything. One of the first images we've got was these dudes wearing antlers on their backs, and then in the Vanity Fair article, they basically said, you don't have to worry about these characters because they really contribute nothing to the story. Why even market that, right? Why even
That's
market
different,
these
though.
little
Because they're an enigma wrapped in a mystery wrapped inside a puzzle. They have deliberately not revealed anything, so speculation has run wild and has, as it tends to do in these days, run negative. So
Speaking of negative, wild
I also-
reveals,
yeah.
have you guys talked about the sketch yet?
We'll get
Not
to
yet.
it, but I think there.
I just
Yeah.
before we get there, I want to point out something that I don't know, one of you mentioned earlier in the chat, I believe, that actually all the characters that we've seen today on these posters, we've already seen all of these characters on the hand posters as well.
We have.
Yeah,
So
indeed.
we're slowly getting all those characters revealed. So I think that we have 3 months left. Like tomorrow, it's exactly 3 months to the day that we're going to be seeing this show. So I think in this time we'll be seeing all of those characters. That there was 23 characters, right, in the hands posters, I think.
22 or 23, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we'll slowly be going through all of them. So for one, we're still seeing, of course, the characters that we've seen many times before. We've seen Durin and Disa and Galadriel in the trailer, in the images, and also Nori, I think. But yeah, I think we're slowly gonna start seeing characters we haven't seen before. So yeah,
Meteor Man?
Yeah. Meteor Man, yeah, the stranger.
we've seen Meteor Man.
We had, in the
Not
trailer.
like this.
Not like this, no.
Not
But
like
he's
this.
part of
But-
part of the same storyline as these.
Yeah.
But if he's
But we
wearing
do have
what
a
he
nice
was,
shot of him in the trailer.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if he's wearing what he
Like
was
the
wearing in the
face.
trailer, then I don't want to see a shot of him like this. Thank you very much.
But to
Hey,
speak to
listen,
the
we
idea
all
that
know
these
the Terminator
yeah,
had to time travel naked. Get over it, okay? It can be tastefully done, all right?
yeah.
Of course,
But
of course.
to speak to this idea that these are somehow tertiary characters, I don't think that's the case at all. There's 23 main characters in this, and out of them there are like 3 or 4 of these hobbits. So they're very, very grossly represented. Like all 3 of these appear as the hand posters. All 3
Listen
of
here,
them,
son.
and I think
One.
maybe another one as well. So
It was a
there's-
joke.
Yeah, but I do think a lot of people really believe that, and it's just not going to be the case. I mean, Nori, I think certainly is there for the long haul.
I think all of them are, but I just want to say that I don't think all of the 23 character posters characters are in fact main characters in the proper sense of the word. I don't think you
Yeah,
meant
yeah,
it
yeah.
either, but I just think that those characters are going to be characters we see more
Major
of.
characters.
Major
Yeah, that would
characters,
be.
yeah. But I still think a few of them, like maybe 10 of them, will be, more prominent than the others.
Yeah. I agree, but I do think Nori would be one
Yes.
of them.
Of the three of them here, absolutely, it's her.
Yes.
Hey, Fellowship, can you hear us?
Morning, boss.
So, I've just jumped in now. I'm at a wedding right now. So, my quick.
How's your
His
Heineken consumption
wedding.
going?
I haven't started drinking so far right now, but
Just
soon
to make
enough.
it,
Too
just to
bad.
make our viewers feel, happier. It's not Fellowship who is actually getting married, so rest
Because he
easy.
said I think he said I'm on my wedding or something. So not his wedding. He's at the wedding.
Yeah.
I'm
Wedding.
taken, but I'm not getting married. That's what it is right now. So yeah. Okay. First thing, what I would say from the poster is nothing, that's mind blowing or massive. But I think that's partly due to the fact that was probably going to be Vanity Fair. So this is, and all I'd say without not getting into trouble too much, the cover poster that we've seen here is quite similar to what it was like in London as well. So that's another interesting thing. I think there's interesting thing around Galadriel's one. I think it really depends on whether you like this or prefer the warrior Galadriel idea that they're going with. I think if you do, it does look quite great. Then of course, I know some people are mentioning about the sword as well. I think the Harfoot one is not that bad. I quite like it. Of course, the names looks like it just come out a random name generator. So yeah, that's quite interesting. Then of course, Varking, is he on the call?
Yes, barking is.
Yep,
here, yes.
I'm inside a gas station buying soda.
All I'd say is that so far, I agree with you what you said earlier. The best thing about everything that's been released so far is the Dwarven stuff. I think that's been the highlight. But I think this one, I think it's on sale perfectly. It looks like it's come out of a video game. And I think that's the only main problem I have with that one. It's a bit too in your face.
I
Which
think
one?
it's just
The Dwarven one?
I think
the
it's
Dwarven
just
one.
a little bit too yellow, but I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah.
it will actually look like that. Yeah.
Yeah, hope. Yeah. And that actually.
Well, a room full of gold will kind of look like that. I don't know. I
In
don't know if you guys
candlelight,
ever experienced that.
Well, that
Yeah.
In
said
candlelight
picture,
and torchlight, no less. So
that set picture is out there though. The one that's
But
sitting behind it.
that
Yeah,
look on his
it's been
face,
released
that
before.
contentness he has with like the people's eyebrow going up, holding her hand, happy to be with his Bay thing. It's very, very wholesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
I
talked about
agree.
that. Yeah.
And Lenny Henry looks quite interesting to
He
say
looks
the
like
least.
Bach.
But overall, I think for me the best one is probably is between the Harfoot or the Galadriel one. But I can see reason why for the dwarves as well. And I think interestingly, a lot of people are talking about Galadriel's posture, if this is too over the top or not. But again, it's a photo shoot for a magazine, so I'm sure 24/7 she's not going to be sitting down, looking all epic. If you kind of understand, it's
Yeah,
always
sure.
overplayed. That adds up to another point. I'm kind of wishing instead of getting poster covers now, he gave us this. Okay, look straight into the camera and look cool posters of Vanity Fair. I wish we got starting to get more episode stills. If you guys kind of understand what I mean, more
I
authentic.
think,
And can actually
yeah.
gauge more about what we what we think the show will actually look like. Because all those photos are great, but they're unrealistic as to what is actually going to
You're
finally
much
be.
more likely to get those in the Empire volume than on the cover, though.
Yeah,
It's very
that's
natural
the
that
pen-
yeah.
I'm just saying, yeah, that's agree. I'm just hoping that that's the next step forward that Amazon going to take. But overall, I don't think it was the end of it. I think it was decent. It'd be interesting to see. I can't see the live chat right now, but I've been following it. So I think there's nothing there that was too bad, and nothing there that's too amazing. So I think it was pretty solid. So yeah, the name side, but also I think the troll sketch looked great. Yeah, I can now say
We're getting to it.
when I went to the event in London, basically there was this massive cinema screen, and they put up the troll picture, and yeah, I think it was really interesting to see John Howe talk about and go through his thoughts and beliefs on that and how his process. So I think that that was really nice to know as well. DXLR, can we can speak a bit about that now, right?
Yeah. Let's get to that picture though.
Yeah.
Can
we're
I
on
just,
the
before
subject.
we move on, I just have one short thing that I want to say, and I know not everybody's gonna like what I have to say, but we've seen some of the characters we haven't seen before, like Megan Richards and Sir Lenny Henry, and I just want to say that people, if you don't like how they look, if you don't like their characters, it's fine to feel whatever you feel, but please do not go harassing the actors. We've had
Yeah,
some
if any
really
harass the
nasty.
showrunners, they're the one that did that.
Maybe don't harass anyone. I mean,
Maybe
Okay,
don't
well,
harass
yeah.
anyone. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
Thank you.
I can
Well,
dislike media
I
very
wanna
strongly,
say,
but
without opening that can of worms, I thought Rose's character in the Star Wars movies was a terrible character, but don't take it out on her. She was just doing what she was told. She didn't write the lines or direct the scenes, so
that's also true. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
she was put in a bad situation, but don't take it out on her.
Yeah, that's also true. Sure.
That's a good rule of thumb. Just, these are actors doing their best. That's all. I just
yeah.
wanted to put that out there. Now
I
we
do
can
have
move
one
on to the.
thing to.
Oh.
I do have one thing to say. So on the posters, both of the ladies had, like, one had berries, one had nuts or something in their hands. But Lenny Henry's character had a really interesting scroll, and I have to say I'm a bit disappointed that we're not seeing it here.
No, dude, what I'm more disappointed
Hmm.
about is that where's the goddamn apple gone? Maybe Meteor
They
Man's
ate
with
it.
the heart. So we could have seen that, the infamous apple that Amazon got really angry at us about.
The mushrooms are around though. They're just on the
Hmm.
floor, but they're
Those
there.
hobbits do like mushrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they're big.
Lenny Henry certainly does, but
It's very
Wow.
kind of. It's very the
sorry,
big
what's Lenny
mushrooms and
Henry's
stuff.
new name now?
Sadok,
Addock,
Uh,
yeah, she called him Addock.
Sadok Barrows.
Sadok Barrows.
Sodden Barrows. Very interesting. So,
Is it?
yeah. Are we moving on to? Are we
I
moving on
mean,
to the troll sketch now? Are we moving on to because we get into that now? I think that's the thing you guys have. Penguin, are you gonna add something there?
No, it's just being a
Oh,
smart ass.
Fellowship
Okay.
won't
look,
arrive here
It's
to
a
tell us to
whale
spit up.
with a beard.
Mm-hmm. Pardon, Strider.
I nothing. I'm just teasing
Oh,
you.
I just want to say that chime in here based on the comments in the chat. I'm not saying harass people. I'm just saying, be critical of the directors or the writers for how they utilize the characters they invented
Yes.
for whatever they did.
Yes.
Not necessarily harass them, insult them, go after them. Just say, hey,
Yeah, keep it
why did you
professional, but yeah.
keep it professional?
Yeah.
And also, guys, make sure to remember to hit the like button so you can keep up to date with all this. I know notifications so you can know when we're going live. No, this is literally out of nowhere as well. And I think the snow sketch is on screen right now. I think Varking, I think this is where we have a pleasured enough. Some people may not call it pleasured, but we got to see this on a massive cinema screen. This troll sketch, and even back then, what were your thoughts on that? Unless Varking's this is too busy doing his
I think he's
shopping.
buying
Okay,
soda, yeah.
he's buying soda. So okay, so we saw this. Oh,
You
looks
want me
like
to cut you off?
yep, go on.
I was checking out in line, and I didn't want to be rude to the cashier because I'm a gentleman. What was the question?
Thoughts on the troll sketch when we saw it? When we saw it at the Amazon event.
Well, the first thing I thought of when I saw it on screen, well, I mean, I had seen the teaser trailer stuff, and then you see his sketch, and I thought they did an outstanding job of creating what he sketched into what we see. Now, fair, not everybody's gonna like the actual ice troll or whatever it's called itself, but in terms of their ability to recreate what he's drawing and put it on the screen for us to see, very similar to how he drew it, they knocked it out of the park with that.
Sure. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, it does look the same, really the same as what is
Yeah,
as the sketch. Yeah.
and
Yeah, and I'm not telling people you've got to like it. I'm just saying the work they did on it based on his sketch, they did great.
Yeah.
They did their
That's a
job.
very important point though, because I think the fact that it's John Howe to some people I think makes it kind of sacred in a way. Whereas the fact of the matter is, if you didn't like it before, there is absolutely no reason that you would go, "Oh, John Howe made it, so now it's good." You know, like if you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do like it, you do like it. Who
John
made it is of
Howe
absolutely no consequence.
John Howe
It
does the most of his Middle Earth work is kind of the most fantastical out of the big
Yes.
three. And while I can say it's skillfully done, it usually doesn't move the needle for me. And this
Oh, I
troll in the
love some
teaser
of his stuff. Yeah.
and this picture, yeah, it's not making me like it anymore, which is kind of
Yeah.
proving your points.
Yeah.
I kind of I'll have to disagree with you guys on this one just a little bit. In general, I think what you said, Hen, yes, it's true. But on the other hand, this is a very subjective thing, and people are inclined to view things differently if we know they came from somebody we really, really appreciate. So I think I don't know, some people in the fandom might feel maybe a little less strict about disliking the troll than they did before now that they've, found out that it's been made by John Howe. I don't know. That's the impression that I got at any
Yeah, I
rate.
get it. I do get it though, but sure. I think it just looks, as I did originally, it looks much too, as does like Galadriel's sword, some of the Hobbit stuff. It looks too high fantasy.
Yeah.
It looks like a whale with a beard.
To me, it looks very animalistic, and I also think that the design itself, it kind of reminds me of Guillermo del Toro's designs. Like,
Which I don't
it,
like.
in
Yeah.
stuff he does. Yes, it's very, very fantastic. But I must say that I quite like him.
I
It's not my
I wouldn't
favorite, but
mind it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it as a one-off. If trolls in the show are going to look like that in general, that's more of a problem for me. As a one-off, fine, because you do want little like spritzes of high fantasy here and there. It's part of the appeal, obviously.
mm,
It's like a condiment. You don't want it to overpower the
mm.
food.
For me, I think I want to see more of it because we saw like 2-3 seconds of it, and for me as well, it looks too fantastical. But I'm willing to give it a shot, and hopefully, when we
You
see it in live
know,
action, it will look more natural. But
there is
see,
something
I
to
think
your comment. Yeah.
we will have to get all used to the aesthetics of this show because it will definitely look more colorful in a way than the Lord of the Rings movies, for example. Because there's of course a lot of people who are not very impressed or not very happy with some of the choices made in The Hobbit. I think this will
Yeah.
look more like The Hobbit based on what we've seen so far. So, people who hold the movies as sacred,
Mhm.
we will have to make perhaps a conscious effort to be like, okay, this is something else done by other people 20 years later compared to the Lord of the Rings movies. And, maybe that will make it easier for some people to like things
Yeah,
such as
yeah.
this ice roll
I try
because
not
it's
to look at it
obviously
as yeah.
something very different.
I try not to look at it as different so much. To me, the issue is what works and what doesn't. And to me, and you can only judge this stuff individually. To me, I'm not interested in high fantasy that's consciously high fantasy. That's just not the kind of media that I'm attracted to. I'm attracted to fantasy with a kind of quasi-historical kind of bent. Fantasy which isn't, and this is very high fantasy to me, and that's just not the kind of, like, so the fact that like getting
you
used to the
say
fact that
you
it's
can make, and
different.
you say about this high fantasy thing, but isn't it kind of make sense that this would technically be more high fantasy than the Peter Jackson film trilogies or the Third Age? Because everything's more. Well, technically, it has to be more fantastical because you see, Khazad-dûm Pig, we're going to be seeing so many. We get
I
to see
don't think
Region,
so.
Austin, and
But
Tim.
that's
Yeah,
not.
you can, but it is if you in because the Second Age when elves are
Le-
fully are in their
Okay.
prime, it's going to, even maybe you could argue that it's maybe done to too high of an extent, but it has to
Okay.
be some elements of it being
Well,
fantastic.
Well, I just
Can
want
I
well,
can I
well,
just
Yeah, let you do.
let the lady
answer.
speak.
I just
Yeah.
have a quick one. I want to say that while I agree that the whole visual design should be a little bit different by default, but I don't think that's necessarily in terms of how fantastical it looks. Like, I agree that Casa Doom should be more opulent, even colorful, etc., but not necessarily more fairy tale like.
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah, I think that's
I
true.
want to, if they go inside Casa Doom, I want to believe that the pillars holding up the ceiling are actually holding up something heavy. If they're just pencil thin, it's I want it to feel as it could exist, even if it's
Yes.
fantastical.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
And
think to answer, yeah. You're not done?
no, I was about to ramble, so I'm going to stop myself.
Oh, okay. I have 2 points to Fellowship's question, which is, if I don't like it, then I don't like it. The story, like the kind of justifications that we make to it within the framework of the story, those have to be subjugated to the aesthetic, not the other way around, I think.
That's a good point.
And the other thing is that is much more significant, and again, it's just, I don't think that the Second Age should be more fantastical because of the stories that are set in it. They have much more the trappings of a historical narrative. There are no real creatures encounters. It's not that kind of story. It's
Yeah,
very
no.
much people
Mhm.
that are like either human, either men or people that look like men, dwarves and elves. Sitting in rooms, mostly talking, scheming, making rings. Like it's very
Yeah,
palpable
no,
in a way. It's not
yeah.
fantastical.
I agree
What?
with you. I think what you mentioned there is the fundamental reason why the Unexpected Journey was awful, because how it was just in your face. The color grading was too bright and looked more fantastical than it needed to do. So I do understand that point. But I'm just saying that just cutting down the whole, point of it being, you can give the showrunners leeway to at least attempt to establish that style with some place like Ostinet
I
Hill
mean, they can
and
do
other
whatever they
places.
want, but that doesn't mean that. I mean, I can only judge it by how much I would or wouldn't like it. That's the only truthful way that I can judge it.
Can
Then
I just say, in the chat, people have been mentioning all sorts of stuff, and we can also mention the poll. But the Kurdish Lord of the Rings nerd also said, how does this troll manage to eat without hurting himself with those canine teeth? And I agree, a lot of people are pointing out that for this troll to work, you need suspension of disbelief a little bit, and I agree with that. I think that the tusks, or whatever they are in
They are
particular,
tusks, yeah, right?
yeah, they're pretty outlandish, and I'm not entirely sure
And the
what purpose
beard.
they
Well,
would serve.
I hear you, but nature is full of animals where you look at them, you wonder, how the hell does this thing survive? Just look at a
Yeah.
Yeah,
peacock.
that's
You would
true.
think,
I have
you
seen.
think, how the hell do peacocks live without, every other predator gobbling them up because they have those massive feathers that just get in the way, and there's all sorts of animals that have
You
things
know,
that don't look practical, but hey, to other animals, I mean, they look cool.
I have
that's
seen
one.
people
It
label
helps them. It helps them with the
this
honeys or
troll
something.
still eat, so I think he'll be all right. I have a question for Hen though, and it's
Yeah.
wait,
you
Varky,
saying this is
before you
too
say
high
anything,
fantasy,
wait.
too high fantasy. How what is the difference between this high fantasy versus like the Hobbit high fantasy, where in the Battle of Five Armies they've got one wearing uh an item on his head so he can dive headfirst into a wall and give himself a concussion and open it up. To me, that's almost as much or more high fantasy than what this ice troll looks like.
And Hen,
You
before
put
There
him
are
on
a
the
couple.
spot.
wait,
Hen
before you answer, I
likes the
just have
Hobbit.
to say that I have to pop off now, so everyone have fun and continue the conversation.
Bye,
And
boss.
thanks everyone tuning into the live chat as
Fellowship.
well. Make sure
Enjoy
to
the
Thank,
wedding.
thanks for
thank
joining. Don't
Have
have
a
a
happy
single
marriage.
Heineken. Don't have a single Heineken, and start spilling all the secrets of the production to friends and family. Okay.
Yeah, people will think you're
Use in the pub
crazy anyway.
during the London
Meteor
event.
Man. Yeah, you're just
Video, man. Yeah.
All right, then catch you later, guys. See ya.
So,
Yeah, I just think, there are two aspects to this kind of naturalism that I like in fantasy movies. One is the earnestness of the performances, and that's certainly present, and it seems to be present here as well. We haven't much to go on, but still. The other one is the naturalisticness of the design, and that is present in stuff like, I think the Woodland Realm looks fairly naturalistic. Erebor doesn't look any less naturalistic, particularly than Moria did. So it is in a lot of the environments and in a lot of the creature designs. Like the dragon is a very simple, not a very cluttered, complicated dragon design. The trolls are mostly the orcs are very humanoid. This isn't very like I guess the realism of the trolls and to some extent goblins and orcs comes from the kind of simian face that they have, whereas this looks like kind of like a whale and the beard. So I do think this is more, and also I think a lot of the more high fantasy overtures were In an Unexpected Journey, which of the six is the most like what would be like a satire play in a Greek tragic tetralogy, and you can kind of take it as a kind of one-off or a starting point, whereas this is presumably the design aesthetic that we're going for an entire 5 seasons show. So it I don't know, it's just too much for me.
Okay, so quick little follow-up though. Do you feel like this because of the nipples?
I was thinking of that while we saw it, and that's something to be said for the point that Lakidia was making before about people feeling a little bit better about this, and the thing that does or could sway people's mind a little bit is that the shot that we did see of the troll was quite dark, whereas here we can get a pretty good look at him, and it's I mean, so I can see like details that I couldn't quite make out in the darkness. And the fact that it's weird. His actual body is very humanoid. Like he has nipples, and he has a beard.
But that at least that part is very realistic. I mean, he's a snow
Yeah.
troll. It would be really, really cold, so his nipples, it
It is
makes sense.
icy.
What
You can't really
about
see his
his
jawline.
nipples?
You can't. Yeah, he has a beard on, which we did see in the trailer. The beard
Yeah.
is also part of the
Okay.
thing that makes it look. Yeah.
I wanna move on to we just finished the poll that we held on YouTube. We asked our audience what our thoughts on the John Howe troll design were. So 14% of our audience disliked it. 16% of the audience said we needed to see more. 32% said it's okay. And 36% said love it. So I'm seeing a lot of love for the troll.
Yeah, can we get a poll on what was the best poll of the day?
Please do.
How about a poll on the over/under of Fellowship's upcoming marriage? 1 to 2 years, 3 to 5, or 6 to infinity?
And also, we need to establish why he didn't invite us to his wedding. I think that's very, very tragic. So yeah.
Well,
it's treason.
he didn't want you to object in front of everyone.
Hey, Penguin, can I say something before I get going here? Because I'm going to be holding pizza and Mountain Dew walking back to a hotel.
Sure, go ahead.
Even though you were very disrespectful to the dwarves earlier when you mentioned that thing that rhymes with Alrog, I just wanted to say it's lovely having you on as a host, and I definitely would enjoy hopping on these videos more with you a part of them. It's fun being able to kick stuff back and forth with you.
Hey, thank you. I'm enjoying your budding bromance.
Aw.
We are all enjoying it.
Later.
It's lovely to see.
And
The audience too.
good.
Most likely.
Kyle, you're always great. Penguin, you're my new guy. And Bay Kittia, you keep it easy, okay?
Will do. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
So Kyle, would you maybe be able to open up the article that was accompanying it? I know there's not much new info there, but maybe we could go through that as well just
Is
before
that-
we wrap up.
Is the article available, or is it
Not
just
the article proper. I know what she's talking about. She's talking
No,
about
it's actually because the article proper. I mean, this, if I understand correctly, this issue of Empire magazine is going to be out on June the 9th, I believe.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
this is a sort of teaser of the feature that they're gonna have then. So it also we can just go through it. Strider, do you want to read the article maybe?
Yeah, first tell me, how do you hear me? Because I had some connection problems.
Very well. I hear you well.
Yeah.
right now you're good, but it goes in and out.
Okay. So what, do you want me to read the first paragraph as a whole and then maybe dissect it?
Yeah, can you do an English accent in honor of Fellowship and his pending nuptials?
Who does the best fellowship?
Not
We
me.
know it's not me. I tried.
Yeah, I don't think it's me either.
Yeah, but you're his best buddy, so maybe you want to try
Yeah. He's not gonna be mad with you, you know,
that much.
that much. Ken?
So who's reading you,
Oh,
Ken?
Where is it?
It's on the screen.
I got
I
it.
see
In the wake of the Lord of the Rings movies, fantasy boomed on screens big and small, but no other fantastical world has had quite the majesty, the literary weight, or the cinematic scope of Middle-earth. J.R.R.R.R.R. Tolkien's tales of hobbits, dark lords, orcs, elves, goblins, and of course, magical rings have resulted in some of the most expansive and exciting films of all time, changing the face of Hollywood and bringing the fantasy genre well and truly into the mainstream. Now, The Lord of the Rings is about to change the game all over again with the Rings of Power, a streaming series that takes the world you love and brings it back to the screen, just not quite as you remember. Get ready, a whole new era of Middle-earth is about to unfold. From 2nd September, Amazon's The Lord of the Rings of Power, The Ringing, will conjure up Second Age of Middle-earth, an era thousands of years before the events of Peter Jackson's movies. And the new issue of Empire takes a deep dive into the Prime Video series, exploring its epic scale, its many inhabitants, and its multi-year plan to tell a whole new tale in a beloved world. Inside, we speak to showrunners Mick Payne, director J.A. Boyena, producer Ron Ames, and stars including Morford Clark, Lenny Henry, Robert Arameo, Markella Kavanaugh, and Benjamin Walker to get the hitherto untold inside story. Plus, the issue is packed with never-before-seen images of the sprawling ensemble cast in new locations. Your all-access return to Middle-earth starts here.
Did you butcher the names on purpose, or was that for effect?
It's J.A.
No,
Bayona, everybody.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, Kyle, can you maybe scroll back up a little bit to the names of the cast? Yeah, that's it.
And thank you, Kieran. I was going for a truck commercial.
You're excellent, and you enjoyed it so much. This was such a joy to witness. You need to do this again.
This is how I read to my son at night. I do lots of
wonderful.
all the characters get their individual voices. I try to make the narration exciting. And every now and again, I mispronounce something just to keep it interesting for me. Yeah, when he wants to read the same book again. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Kyle, can you scroll down just a tiny bit so we see all the actors? Please.
That's good. That would be.
One needs to be nice to Kyle. He's sensitive. Okay, so we have this upcoming feature is gonna finally be able to interview some of the stars that haven't been able to talk about this project for years at this point. They've been in New Zealand since the beginning of 2020. That's like 2 years and a half. So finally, we're gonna hear what Morford Clark, Lenny Henry, Robert Arameo, Markella Kavanaugh, and Benjamin Walker have to say. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited mostly for Benjamin Walker, but also for the rest of the main cast. I think this sounds amazing. What's your guys' favorite bit?
I'd have to say was the multiple instances of the R in Tolkien's name.
Yeah. what was it, like 4 or 5 times?
Hey,
Yeah,
we'll blame his parents for that one.
I do think it's promising to see interviews, presumably like pages of them, with each of these people. That would be very illuminating.
Yeah, but none of them are going to ask them the pressing question, Hen.
The pressing
Why?
question.
Why to what?
All of it. Why?
I mean, you could be reductive and say money, but like.
Okay, well, yeah, that I'll accept it.
But yeah,
Can we just as
Shout
Kyle
out to the
has,
broken sword.
as you can see on the screen, the Broken Sword, we're very happy to hear a little bit of our conversation about the troll nipples. We're very happy to have been able to amuse you, the Broken Sword. And yeah, I absolutely think, we don't discuss troll nipples nearly close to what they should be discussed. So I was really happy to partake in that conversation. We may now move on.
That was very
Should we maybe
informative.
retroactively
Thank you for the
cover
shout out.
the physicalities of the troll from the Fellowship of the Ring? Or leave it for the next time?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did the troll in Fellowship of the Ring have nipples? I can't remember.
I don't
But
think
it's,
they
you know.
had them. No. They were men though, weren't they? The trolls that we saw.
All right,
Weren't
viewers, you have your mission. That's your homework assignment. Watch Fellowship of the Ring and tell us if that troll had nipples.
And do it before the stream ends.
Yes. Well, I have to get back to work, but I'm just when the next time we hop on, I just want to hear the answer.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, we are doing the poll.
Where-
Did the troll nipples or no? Okay, excellent.
So yeah, any highlights from you, Strider? What's like your favorite bit from this whole release and the article and everything?
I'm looking forward of all the names here. I'm looking forward to hearing more from Benjamin Walker because I just feel Gil-galad is underrepresented, especially in the movies because he was basically cut out. So I'm looking forward to hear more about him because he's probably like we know Galadriel, we know Elrond. So of the actors named here in the text that we will be seeing conversations with, I'm interested in hearing more from Benjamin Walker. That's probably my highlight.
we don't have Numenor in this, do we? So Benjamin. Oh right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's no Numenor, of course. Like this. Honestly, I respect what Warking says about Elvish propaganda versus the dwarves, but so far, by far, those who took the most offense were the Numenorians. I haven't seen anything. Like we saw that tiny, amazing, truly amazing shot of what is probably Rowena, and we saw like maybe 2 photos. Like we saw Isildur and Elendil, but we haven't seen them. We haven't heard anything about Numenor, and I'm very passionate about that. I want to hear and see more. So hopefully, this is somebody in one of these conversations that we will be seeing soon will be talking about Numenor. Okay, there you go. That's my biggest impression.
Meanwhile, Penguin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, before we go ahead.
I was just going to say that I have to go. Enjoyed the time with you all. Thanks for watching, everyone.
We need to wrap up anyway. Thanks for joining us, Penguin. Just before I let you guys go, I wanted to ask you like your rating from what we've seen today, 1 to 10. What did you think of the new material that we saw?
That's a good one.
Or maybe should we go?
Yeah, maybe let's go with ABCD.
Yeah,
You can go first.
Just quickly. For every poster, we have 3 posters. So for the Galadriel poster, what would you guys say? 1 out of 10?
An 8 from me.
Okay. I give her a
Like
7.
the sword is messing it up for me. It's too big.
Yeah.
Like if it was normal sized, it would be higher. And
Okay.
I'm also not sure about her chain shirt or whatever. So that's also so those are like the two things that kind of slightly bother me with the photo.
Yeah.
Okay, Ken?
I'll give it a 7 too. I think the sword. There are swords that look like that, but it's sometimes a case of sometimes things that are real don't look real. So.
Okay.
So a 7. Yeah.
The dwarven one?
Who goes first?
Okay, this is a 9 out of 10 for me, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 8.5, 9 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and the last one?
Seven, 6.5, 7. If there was a scroll and an apple, I would be happier.
For me, it's an 8 out of 10. I quite like it, actually. I'm not crazy about the hairdos, but I quite like it all in all.
I'm
I'll
gonna
say
give it
7.
a
I'll say 7.
yeah. I'm gonna give it a 2. I don't like anything really with the implications of the hobbits. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, but we knew from the get-go that as soon as we found out that Harfoots are gonna be involved, not everybody was gonna be happy about it. I think most of us
Yeah.
aren't happy about it, but
But
what can
it's
you do?
not that it breaks the continuity. Like the fact that they weren't mentioned before doesn't necessarily have to mean that we
Yeah,
cannot
that's not
see
the
them,
issue
because
for me.
obviously, they weren't created in the second or the third age.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not happy that there's going to be a very big storyline regarding them, but who knows? It may turn out to be a good storyline, first of all. So, and second of all, as I said, like they haven't been created, 3,000 years before the events of the Lord of the Rings. They were created, presumably, thousands and thousands of years ago when all the other races were created, or like when the men were created. So, yeah, I
just
think
it's
we should maybe
cloying.
cut them a bit more slack.
Yeah, I just think it's cloying, but yeah.
All right. Any last thoughts before we bid adieu to our audience?
We have the troll.
Well, we have to do the snow troll.
Sorry,
Yeah.
the snow troll.
So,
Sorry.
Lakitia, you can be the first one to rate him.
Okay, for me, it's a, I don't know, 9.5 out of 10.
Wow.
I really like it. It's the nipples. The nipples won me over. What can I say?
Ken?
Wow. I'll give it like a 5 or a 6. It's good. It's not terrible, especially if it's a one-off. It's not the most terrible thing because at least it's not cloying. It's very high fantasy, but it's not cloying. So
For me, it's like in between the Lord of the Rings trolls and those awful goblins from The Hobbit. So this troll is in the middle of those for me. Like the design is cool, but what we've seen in the trailer, my subjective opinion is that I'm not a fan of the looks of The Hobbit, and this kind of reminds me of that. So that's why I'm going to give it a lower rating. But yeah, around a 7. 6.5, around 7. But I do think that it deserves more screen time, and then we will be able to judge them more. Like on its own, the sketch is really cool, but as a snow troll in the Lord of the Rings universe, I'm not too happy with it.
All right. So before we wrap up, I just want to give a quick shout out to Matt from the Nerd of the Rings who jumped into our comments. Hi, Matt. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you back on the channel soon. Do you guys have any last thoughts before we go?
Well, yeah, I mean, just like another, you're welcome to the Broken Sword. And yeah, it's lovely to have Matt jump in always. Thank you to everyone who always tunes in. Like, there's so many people who just keep coming back, like Canadian Fantasy Corner, Kieran the Shillwright, Sigur Boy, Kieran Kuran. There's so many people who just keep coming back and following all these videos, and it's always great to have them in the chat.
I agree. All right. So thanks for sticking with us to the very end, and we'll see you on our next live stream.
Yep. Goodbye, everyone. See you soon.
Bye, everybody.